Kong Skull Island, directed by Jordan Vogt-Roberts, and this happens to be one of my anticipated movies of 17. I've been a big fan of King Kong from a very young age. I grew up watching the classic 1933 original, the 1976 remake, the 2005 Peter Jackson remake, a film that I adore. I absolutely adore that version. And all of the Kong versus whatever monsters you can throw at him. So I was very excited for this movie. And I was hoping they would do something different this time around. And they did it. Now, how would I sum this movie up? See this poster by here? This beautiful poster? I absolutely love this poster. This poster was given to me from last night's screening. And I've loved all the posters that's been released for this movie. And I think this one is beautiful. I can't wait to frame it. But yeah, if you asked me, how would I sum up Kong Skull Island? This poster by you. This beautiful, beautiful poster. So the plot. The film is based in 1973, just as the Vietnam War was ending. And you've got a former British Special Air Service Captain, James Conrad, who's played by Tom Hiddleston. He's hired by a government agent, Bill Randa, who's played by John Goodman, to guide an expedition to map out an uncharted island in the Pacific Ocean known as Skull Island. Randa also recruits the Sky Devils helicopter squadron led by Lieutenant Colonel Preston Packard, who's played by Samuel L. Jackson, and he's there to escort them to this island. And the group is also joined by a pacifist photojournalist, Mason Weaver, who's played by Brie Larson, and I think she's meant to be our Anne Darrow of the piece, but a slightly different take of that character. Now, they all give good performances. I think the performances in this movie were solid. They were okay. I really like what Tom Hiddleston done. He had that sort of very 50s B-movie action hero vibe about him, or an action hero from the 20s. That's the look that he had. I dug his performance, as well as Samuel L. Jackson. I thought he did a good job of his performance in this film. I liked it. I liked what he did. I enjoyed his performance, and I loved that he almost managed to get one of his lines, one of his famous iconic lines in this film. That did make me chuckle a little. Now, there isn't much of a plot, but what this movie lacks in with plot makes up for in giant spectacle. This movie immerses you straight into Kong's world, that being Skull Island, and it really does immerse you into it. You get to see this rich environment full of weird, scary creatures and monsters. And I loved it because it made me feel like a child again. It made me feel like I was watching some old 50s B-movie, and I really, really enjoyed this movie. And unlike previous movies, which slowly builds up to the reveal of Kong, this movie completely skips all of that. You already know what Kong looks like. We've seen him so many times already on the big screen. So what this movie does, it just throws you straight into the action. Before you know it, Kong is there throwing trees at helicopters and swatting them out of the sky. And I loved it. The action is relentless fun. This was an incredibly fun and exciting movie. And also that scene now you get to see in the trailers of him, attacking those helicopters. Yeah, to me, in the film, it did remind me a lot of the end scene in King Kong, the original King Kong, when he goes up the Empire State Building. And for me, this was almost like as if they wanted to do their own take on that scene, but in a different setting and in a different context. And I liked it. It was, it was an incredibly fun scene. The look of the movie. It's a visual treat. I said, when I did the trailer reactions, I said one of the things I liked about the trailers was I liked the sort of look of the film, and after seeing the film in its entirety, I dug the look of the movie. It was a visual treat. I liked the style, even though, there were some things I didn't like about the look of the movie. I did feel it become a little too stylistic at times, if there's such a thing. But overall, I really dug the look of the movie. It actually felt like a Monster B movie, and I also liked the blend of Apocalypse Now and the 70s era. This was like practically sticking Kong from 33 into a Apocalypse Now setting. You know, with this beautiful scene by you being what I think was an inspiration from that very movie, and I loved this shot. It's a beautiful shot, and I thought there were some really nice shots in this film. I really liked how, you know, they shot this movie. It was the way they shot the action scenes. They were fun and they were very imaginative. Like, it's an imaginative film anyway. You know, you got these big creatures and, you know, this alien sort of world. And but even when it comes down to the way the film was shot, down to the action scenes, you know, it was very imaginative. I like a lot of the camera angles that they chose to use, and they were fun. Very, very fun action scenes. And a lot of that was also down to the way the film was shot. But there were moments in this film that just didn't feel real enough for me. It looked like a bunch of people on a green screen stage. And it took away the realism that I wanted to have. I mean, when I watch these films, I want to feel like these people actually exist in this world. That they're actually there on this island and that they're in danger. But there were a few moments in this film where it just looked like they were on a green screen stage. You know, with CGI all around them. And for me, that took away that realism that I wanted. You know, to actually feel that, yeah, these people were there, and there were those moments that took that away. And that was a tiny bit disappointing. But overall, I did dig the look of the film. I dug the look of the film overall. Okay, let's talk about the human element of the film. The characters. There's honestly nothing to say much. You know, there's nothing much to say about the characters because, well, there really was no character development in this movie. They attempted it a little, but really didn't spend that much time building these characters, and you could see they really did just want to get you on this island and have some fun. That's how it felt to me. They were like, oh, use these characters, give them a couple of lines, you know, let's introduce them. But let's just get on this island and let's have a blast. So in a way, for me, this movie did lack a little soul and humanity when it came to the characters. I felt like, I needed more character. I needed more heart and soul because that's what I prefer. But like with the plot, they sort of made up for that with the action. You know, with King Kong, with the epic battles between the monsters. But I do feel like that lack of humanity, that lack of character, again took away a certain amount of realism away from the film, which I like to have. That sort of groundedness, you know, that I like to have. That, and you know, this is a fantasy movie, and you know, yeah, you got all these big creatures and all this imagination, but I like to have it grounded into some sort of reality. And again, you know, by taking away the human element, it doesn't make it feel as real as I want it to feel, you know, and it's nice to have a little bit of heart, and especially when it comes to a movie like King Kong, you know, yeah, okay, they haven't got that sort of same relationship between Kong and the female character, but it's nice to have a bit of character in the film, you know, to ground it a little, and the film did lack that, and again, I sort of wish it had more. In a way, the world they created on Skull Island reminded me a little bit of Pandora from Avatar. There were some beautiful scenes while they're on the island, in the day and the night. And there are some beautiful shots in the film as well. But, you know, there are moments in the movie which sort of were quite different to how, you know, the rest of the movie was. Like, the film is very fast-paced, but then you get this very sort of odd moment which stood out of the film, and it would be with a female character, and between the female character and Kong, and it was a beautiful moment. I loved it, and it was I loved the way in which it was shot and everything, but it just seemed to be very random within the film because of how the film sort of went along and how fast paced it was, and that it just was relentless. And then you'd have this very sort of odd moment between a character and Kong, and it was like, well, this scene would have had a bit more emotional impact if they'd actually built these characters up, if they'd actually developed these characters. But it didn't. And as a result, the scene felt a little bit random, but I appreciated it. This was a very fast-paced movie. Very fast. Everything happens quickly. And, well, I really enjoyed the film. I had a lot of fun with it. They had quite a bit of humour in the movie as well. And the overall tone was very different to Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, which is based in the same world as this movie. I mean, this is part of Legendary's Monsterverse. I mean, when they're doing what Marvel are doing and now DC, you know, this is their sort of combined universe now, and this is technically the second film, you could say. It will be interesting to see how they merge the both together because of the massive difference in tone. The tone of this film for me was very, very different to the tone of Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, so it'll be interesting to see how they merge it all. Talking about Godzilla, you know, I adored that movie, but it also lacked character development, and, you know, with Kong, you also lacked character. But then you got a hell lot more Kong. There are some creepy moments in this that I also felt pushed that 12 rating. I hate spiders. I have a massive phobia of spiders. And there are scenes in this movie which, you know, they're showing in the trailers that involves a giant spider. And it really creeped me out a little. And this spider does something with its leg, and I was like, wow, that's pretty sick. Like, it will upset or scare kids, and there were a few scenes like that in this, and I loved them. You know, they were great. The script for me wasn't the best. It was a little clunky, a little awkward. At the time, it seems like when the actors are sort of delivering their lines, be it John Goodman's character or Brie Larson, it was like they didn't quite know how to deliver their lines. Like, the script was okay, it appeared clunky, but I think I couldn't quite tell whether it was down to the delivery of the lines. And that's what I mean by feeling awkward. It looked like as if they didn't quite have enough direction of how they wanted to sort of deliver these lines. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just me, but that's how I felt. What about you guys? Let me know below. I did like the attempt of inserting the Vietnam more in the story with Samuel L. Jackson's character, who obviously has issues of those events, and I sort of liked what they tried to do with all of that. This film did have some hidden messages in there that I liked, which related back to war and humanity fighting each other. I did like that. You know, a message that instead of fighting each other, you know, maybe we should all unite and keep our eyes open into the unknown, because you might never know what might come out of the darkness, and we need each other. And so this movie, for me, there was a little more into the you know, hidden within the story other than monsters clashing, but it was sort of very hidden and briefly touched upon, sort of like the characters in a way. I just want to mention, before I wrap up this review and give my grade, I really liked the look of King Kong in this film. I loved the design of this version. It did have a very iconic look about it, and I also liked the expressions in his face. If anything, I think King Kong had a lot more character and a more humanity to it than the actual characters did. But yeah, I really dug the look of King Kong in this film. So overall, I enjoyed Kong Skull Island. It's what it says it is. It's Kong Skull Island, and that's what you pretty much get. And I really enjoyed it. It was fast, it was fun, it was exciting and thrilling, but it just lacked character and heart. There wasn't much of a story, but I felt like a kid again. It made my imagination run wild. It had, it had really fun scenes and very well shot scenes, and I dug the overall look of the movie. For me, this was a monster B movie done well, just lacked certain things like character. But yeah, I highly recommend it because it's fun, and well, that's what going to the movies is all about. You know, getting lost in another world, and they did a good job at doing that with this movie. It really did help you switch off from the outside world. And it was a B movie done well. It lacked character. It needed more heart. But it was fast, it was funny, it was exciting, it looked nice, it was a visual treat. You know, it wasn't a terribly made movie. It just needed to take more time with its characters and give it a bit more of a heart and soul. But I had a hell of a lot of fun with it. As a child growing up, watching those movies, you know, it made me feel like a child again. It was very sort of nostalgic in a way, and I really enjoyed it. And so yeah, this was a monster B movie, and I'll be giving Kong Skull Island just that. That is my review of Kong Skull Island. What do you guys think? You know, do you agree or disagree with anything that I've said? Let me know below. I would really like to know what everyone else thinks about this movie. So yeah, thanks again so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like what you see and you share the same passion as me, then why not hit subscribe and follow me on my journey.